So one of my favorite kind of stories is the story of Hagar. It's in Genesis chapter 60. Because I've got like 8 tattoos and they all have like some kind of biblical reference.
What was that? How far are we from school?
Probably like maybe an hour, maybe.
What? Really?
Yeah. You can just keep driving straight.
That was the same way, like an hour back.
Bro, I mean, it was 40 minutes to her house, and I just turned and kept going this way.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, this feels like a longer drive going like back. So I was
I didn't, guys. We're headed opposite direction right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll turn around in a second.
Okay. All right. Whenever you're ready, you can go.
Okay. All right. So my favorite stories is Hagar. About Hagar is in Genesis 16, and so I've got like 8 tattoos, and they all have some kind of biblical reference, and so it's Adonai El Roy, and so if I'm mispronouncing that, just let it happen. So in the story of Hagar, so it's like Sarai and Abram, so Sarah and Abraham, and we all know the story of or if you don't know, Sarah couldn't have children, and so she gives Abraham permission to basically have a night with Hagar, and Hagar ends up having a child named Ishmael. So when that's happened, it says it's in the Bible. It talks about how it felt like Hagar was treating Sarah with kind of contempt, which contempt kind of means she kind of thought, okay, I was a little just a little bit better, and kind of thought because she could have kids, and she had a son with Abraham, and so anyway, so Sarah, she's not okay with that. She's not cool with that at all. So she asked, Abraham to, basically kind of move her out of the house and that kind of stuff. So Hagar, she takes out of the house, and so she's running, and she goes away, and she's got Ishmael with her, and God kind of, she gets to a point, and she's kind of, God's like, why are you running? Where are you going? And so they kind of have a little dialogue, and my big thing on that is she gives a new name to God, and in that name she calls him Adonai El Roy, and it's the God who sees me, and I think that's a really, really, really big piece for me, and a really pivotal story for me. Really pivotal story for me, because make sure I wasn't caught. Anyways, there's a really pivotal story for me, because I in my sophomore year of college, I hit another really, really deep and dark place for me, and in that place, it was it was a situation where I didn't understand why I was going through it, didn't understand what was happening, and so honestly, in my sophomore year, just kind of laying it out, in college, I was a double major. I was double majoring in marketing and exercise science, so I had the max hours every semester. I was working a job. I was doing all that, and all that money was going to pay for my tuition. I was working a job. I was getting up. So my days look like this, and so I went to Milligan. So if you know anything about humanities, you know. So I was a person that read everything in humanities. So I would have to be up. We'd have 6 a.m. practice. I'd come back. I'd clean. So I cleaned. That was my job. So I would clean in different places, and then go to class. Class all day, eat lunch, and then during the evenings, that would be determined if we were playing pickup or something of that nature. And but my day was pretty busy, and so then try to fit in social things, hit dinner, but then even if we had a late practice, we wouldn't have practice sometimes 9 o'clock at night. I would be up after that studying and reading through humanities and making sure I was reading, and everything done was for classes. And so this was a complete cycle, and I was going through this cycle from August to December, and I suddenly suddenly started to notice that I started to shake, and I was why am I shaking? And couldn't understand it. I was my chest was starting to hurt. I just didn't get it at all. I was I don't understand this. Well, I decided to get checked out. So it was the day after Christmas, and I really knew something was wrong because I came home, and my mom, me and her went to go see like family members, and I was driving, and I was like shaking. I was so uncomfortable. I didn't like want to like. I didn't want to do that, and I was like, I don't even know if you can tell because we're in the car, we're moving. I'm still like shaking like right now. I don't know if you can tell, but like it would get like to the point where it was like really, really like just bad, and like I would feel like uncomfortable all the time, like my knee, like I'd be constantly bouncing my like foot, everything. And so I go get checked out, and then I get, and then like when you like get stuff checked out, and like I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and like it was because, and they start on a scale. They ask you like how how do you feel like about doing things throughout the day and things like that, and like sometimes it might be like some often, not often, like some kind of scale in that aspect, and like and so a lot of my answers were not often. I didn't really feel like doing anything. I didn't feel like going anywhere. I always just felt like I was just always uncomfortable and never wanting to really like get out of bed. And so like for me, like when that diagnosis happened, it was a big shock, especially to my family. I had someone say, what do you have to be depressed about? I had one say like, oh, you're just being sad, like you're just sad, and of course those moments you hear like just pray about it, like and like yeah, you pray, and then it's like, but in that moment it was like, okay, I'm praying, okay, like I'm trying to read the Bible, I'm still trying to do things, I'm trying to be a servant, I'm trying to do all these things, but like I am crushed like every day, like and like that was like such a pivotal piece for me, because when I got back to campus, I would like to go on drives, and like normally I'd say that, I'd tell like some of my close friends that I'm going to go on a drive, and then they would try to stop me before, because it's never good to drive when you're emotional and when you're upset. So but then I recall like we had like, that was my sophomore year, so like we were still living in like a different dorm, and like I had like we had like a sofa in there, and like it would be dark, and I would just be laying on that sofa and just crying, like no idea why I'm crying, like just crying out to God, and being like God, like where are you, like why are you not here, like why is this, like what is happening, like why is this, like just what, like I like that, it was just why, I like that was my main question. It became very apparent to me that the life and the who I thought that I was in my relationship with Christ, and how I thought it was not actually true. I kind of had to come to like I had to come to terms with the fact that like I wasn't praying, I wasn't reading my Bible, I was the person that like I only wanted to pray to God when something was going wrong. I never wanted to praise Him when things were going right. I was like it was very hard for me to like, I had to grasp that, and so I mean it's night, I don't feel like getting up, I'm just crying, I'm just literally in like tears, and it's like you just kind of feel like a hole in your chest that just does not feel. And on top of that, like you're shaking, you can't go to sleep, you can't do anything. And so the first thing that wasn't really suggested to me was therapy. So like I don't like to talk to people that much, like, so I try to keep a lot of stuff in anyways, but it wasn't really suggested to me to do therapy. The first thing really suggested to me was medication. So I ended up taking medication, and for the first little bit, like finding out what works for you, and like it is like rough. There was one time I took something new, and like one of my teammates came in the room, and they were just like, yeah, I don't like you like that. And in my head, I'm like, I don't like myself like that either. Like but I can't control the fact. I mean, I was out of it, and like consistently finding like stuff that like what works for me and what didn't. Like I got to the point where I had to take stuff to just sleep. I had to take stuff so I wouldn't shake all the time. I had to take stuff for like this. And I had a lunchbox. I used to have a lunchbox of medication, like taking it everywhere. Like if I was going somewhere and I didn't have that lunchbox, like I couldn't stay there. I had to get back to my medicine, because like my body would like absolutely just go crazy if I didn't have if I didn't have medicine. And I remember we were playing a game. It was at Pikeville, and I go in the game and like I'm just playing. But that day before, I had just got new medicine, and one of our assistant coaches, she came up to me and Coach Cash, she came up to me and she was like, you know, are you okay? Like, she was like, you're like moving really slow, and like I can tell I was moving slow. I thought I was playing fine. Now, was it one of my best games? Absolutely not. It was probably one of my worst that I've played, but I wasn't really being aware, and I told her, I was like, hey, I had this new medicine, so it was making me feel weird. My chest was feeling weird, like. And so I had to communicate that, and I should have communicated that like sooner. But I really struggled like with the whole medicine process, and I hated getting new medicine. I hated like it being like going to the doctor and then like, okay, like we're just gonna up your dose. Like I hated that. Like that's why I didn't want to even tell people if I was struggling, because I was like, they're gonna go back to your doctor, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get you medication. And I really didn't like that. I mean. Because and then like there was days where I was like, oh, like there was days I was like, I got God, I don't need my like no, like it was like I got God, but like I was like I still need medicine. Like it got to the point, and then I get to the point like today, if I miss a day, like the next day I'm shaking for the next like 24 hours. Like my body does not calm down. And it was like on top of that, like the depression part of it was like constantly eating like me mentally. Like it was so frustrating, because like we know the story of my hip. Like it was so frustrating because I physically and mentally was not well. And every day I was expected to get good grades and stay on top of stuff, like show up for class, show up for this, and I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to move. Like I wanted to just lay there for the rest of my life. I just did not want to have to get up. And I just can recall, like, I would honestly cry, and like my roommate, love her, she would be asleep sometimes on the other side of the room, and I would be silently just looking up, because I couldn't sleep, because my mind wouldn't shut off, and there would just be a constant things of like negativity going through my mind of like, you're not good enough, you shouldn't be here, why are you here, like what, like this just constant, like if you weren't here people wouldn't care. Like there was just a constant like negative voice, and it was one of those things where I felt so like I knew I was loved, but I felt unloved. I knew I was worthy, but I felt unworthy. Like I knew I was safe, but I felt unsafe. Like I felt like I knew I was saved, but it was like that point, and that like it was so bad that I couldn't recognize myself. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to talk to people. Like I get to the point where like I couldn't handle crowds. Like I couldn't like I was like got to the point where I was taking medicine before games to hopefully not shake. And then like I get to my senior year and like try to play, and this is like before I lost my cartilage, and I'm out there practicing and trying to play, and I'm not trying to take medicine, and like I am shaking. I don't get calm until the fourth quarter. Like I couldn't play a full basketball game without like physically shaking and feeling like something was going to go wrong every second. And it was like one of those things of like, it was always a what if. It was like, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And it's not, I quickly had to learn, and I saw this somewhere, it's like, it's not what if, it's like if God. Like, what if this happens? Like, but God. Like, not if God, but God. It was like one of those things of like, okay, that happened, but God. And I constantly now try to live in a but God mindset. But like in that term and in that space, I could not get over that. Like, I think it was like a really, really hard point for me when one of my friends was looking at me in the face, and I looked at her, tears streaming down my eyes, and I just looked at her and I said, I don't know if I want to be here. And her response was, please don't say that. And then she starts crying, and like that's a part of my life that like it was like every day it was a cycle of get up, feel terrible about yourself, shake, go to class, put on a smile, act like everything's okay, make sure everybody else is okay, go to work, do all this. Like in those like last 3 years, like my sophomore year, my junior year, my freshman, honestly my junior year I felt like I got somewhat better because I found my purpose in ministry, and that was without basketball. But it was like my sophomore year, my senior year, like it was just those days where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like I don't know like why I can't focus. I don't know why I can't like understand what's happening to me. And it was a time where it was just rough. And like, so then I tried therapy. And I'm okay talking to one person, but in therapy programs, when it switches out and I have to retell my story to someone new, I shut down. I don't like to, which is obviously different because I'm doing this now, but like when I would like get close to a therapist, and then I would have to switch, and then I just would not want to open up again. And then it opened up a lot of stuff of things that happened, like when my parents split up, and a lot of things that happened of like the relationship that I had with my mom, how strong it was, and I went to college, and how there was just ripple effects, and you know, and like my family didn't really understand when I said anxiety and depression. I think a lot of people think it's like, oh, you're just sad, and like no, like there's an actual chemical imbalance. Like it's like I'm not producing that dopamine. I'm not producing the stuff that I need to have to actually be like to not have these struggles. Like and that was like really hard for me to understand, and it was also really hard for my family to understand, but it was also really hard for me to get like to try to explain it, because I was also not a person that wanted to talk about it. I was also not a person that wanted to like dive deep into that. I shut down. And so like now when I try to tell people, like if I'm anxious, I go quiet. I get really quiet. And so it's nothing like anybody's doing wrong. I just get quiet. And so a lot of that times is because like either I'm having chest pains or or like I feel bothered or whatever. I'll just go silent. I'll just go quiet. And so, you know, it was hard because like I would go quiet and people would get frustrated that I was going quiet. Or they would get frustrated because they couldn't understand like the issue, or they couldn't understand what was wrong or why I was upset. And there was a whole lot of times, and still to this day, I may feel like sad, or I may or feel anxious, and people be like, why? And I had no clue why. Like, and I just don't know. Like, it just happens. And so it's something that like I try to advocate for and talk about it a lot, because a lot of people don't talk about it, and a lot of people don't talk about it in general, but also a lot of people don't talk. Like, they don't want to talk about it if they are feeling anxious and things. And especially as an athlete, you feel like you like can't have a weakness. Like, you know, you feel like you got to be on top of things all the time. You got to be in the best shape. You got to be smiling on your face all the time. But like, I had to learn very quickly that it's okay not to be okay, because God is. And like, when you learn that and then you soak into that, it's like sometimes it's like, all right, I'm not having a great day, or everything's not rainbows and sunshine all the time. And I think I tried to live a life at first to present that every day was rainbows and sunshine for me. Every day I showed up with a smile. Like, people did not, like, I think it was one time I came and I wasn't smiling because I wasn't having a great day. And someone asked me, like, why are you not smiling? You're always smiling. And I'm like, I'm human. Like, I'm not allowed to smile, not smile. I'm not allowed to have it. And so I would take those and I'd be like, okay, like, I would internalize a lot, because I'm like, I can't let anybody know that I'm struggling. I can't let anybody know that like I'm going through something. I can't let anybody know that like everything's not perfect. And in those moments is when God showed up the most. Like the moments where I'm crying and I'm just trying to force myself to go to sleep, and I can't sleep, and it's 2-3 a.m. and all I can hear is how I'm not worthy, how I'm not worth it, how I don't deserve to be here, and of course I tie it all to basketball. So if I'm turning the ball over, I'm calling myself all these different names, and I'm waking up, and the person I'm looking in the mirror, I'm not seeing myself as a child of God, I'm seeing myself as somebody that I'm just looking at myself with disgust. And it was like a tough part, because I really didn't understand why. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand why I got so deep in that, and I didn't understand and it brought up so much other stuff. It brought up my struggles with basketball and my confidence. It brought up with, like I said, the issues with, you know, like when my parents split, like things that I had not healed from there. Like, it brought up so much, and I tried to figure it out on my own at first. Again, it was another example of me trying to have faith but not surrender. It was another example of me trying to just call out and wanting an immediate impact and an immediate, I have depression for a month, and I'll be anxious for this week. I'll be done. I'll be done next week. Like, it was one of those things where I felt like I could just pray it away. To this day, I still deal with anxiety and depression. Is it on the same scale? No. Am I healing? Yes. I think I've been healing since my sophomore year. Do I think of myself in a much positive light now? Yes. Do I feel like I've been delivered? Yes. Did it happen in that first year? Absolutely not. Did it happen in the second year? No. But through this story, like, I truly saw myself as who God sees me as. I could not have even imagined myself as those things. I completely thought that was just not. I was like, it couldn't be me. Like, I felt like I was being punished. I felt like that I had done something completely so wrong that, like, I couldn't fathom, like, me being a princess of the kingdom. I couldn't fathom those things. And there was many nights I was up past midnight just crying, tears down my eyes, beating myself up mentally. There was plenty of times during the day I was frustrated and wanting to cry because my hip wouldn't work. I was frustrated, and there were so many times, like, during the whole process, like, trying to figure out medication, trying to, like, figure out what I can take, what I can't take, figuring out, who I was. And, like, I felt like at that time, and this is kind of like a really backstory of, like, why I ended up writing Behind the Smile, is I felt like I had been walking for years with a mask on. And I felt like during that time, I still tried to have a mask. It felt like it was every day was Halloween. I had to be dressed up as somebody who wasn't really struggling. I had to be dressed up and present myself as somebody who wasn't dying on the inside, who wasn't suffocating, who felt like, if the world ended tomorrow, it didn't matter. Like, I was really, really just unrecognizable mentally for me. I just, the thought process, everything that I went through, it really hit me. And part of the reason why I like to share this is because somebody else is going through it. Somebody else is struggling. Somebody else is struggling to say that they're struggling. Someone else is smiling in the face while on the inside they're crying. And that is heartbreaking. And I was heartbroken. I would probably say it's my second heartbreak. That really put and left a lot of, like, pain in me and stuff I had to, like, get over and heal from. And, like, on this wrist I got a tattoo, and the body of it it's a sunflower, but the flower part is a sun, and then the body part is the body of a rose. My mom wrote me a thing about roses, and it's like, through my struggles I still shine. And so, like, it's like when you go up through the sunflower, like, you're getting pricked by the thorns, like, but when you reach the top, you realize that you shine because you're a child of God. You realize that, like, God saw me. He saw me in all the times where I thought that I wasn't going to be able to be seen. Like, he saw me in all the times that, like, I thought no one cared. He saw me in the times where I felt like no one trusted me, or no one, or not even no one trusted me, but nobody cared to be around me to ask me how my day was, or even wanted to fight with me. I felt like, when I felt all alone, I consistently had to remind myself that there's a God who sees me at all times. And that got me through a lot. And when you feel alone, you're never alone. And I think understanding that, even sometimes you feel like you're praying to God and you feel like you don't hear him. You feel like he's not there. You feel like he's there, he's listening. And I think that's the crazy part. Like, we serve a almighty, omnipotent God who knows everything, knows all the way down to the hairs on our heads, and will listen to every prayer and will listen and deliver and provide again in his timing. But that was something I had to learn, is that there's a God who sees me. Out of all millions of people on this earth, I exist and I matter and you matter and we all matter. No matter the struggle that we go through, we matter, and we're his children, and we are not this world deserves, this world needs all of us in it. And I feel like I'm talking to myself from when I was first diagnosed, because this is what I should have been telling myself when the enemy wanted to plant lies in my head. Everybody needs a version of you, and sometimes that version is not. Sometimes you're having a version of yourself and everything's going great. Sometimes there's a version of yourself and everything's not going great. But at the end of the day, what matters the most is it's you. And like a story I told earlier, that's all God wants. He wants you. He wants you to surrender. He wants you to have faith in him. It's about the relationship with him. And in that time where I was clawing for something, he was pushing me to him. And no way am I saying God gave me anxiety and depression, but I'm saying that's a struggle and a trial I went through, and God uses things for the good, and out of that became a mentor, out of that became a coach, out of that became a person, a servant, someone who enjoys serving and praying. It became somebody that people look up to, but not because they're good because of me, but people that as a role model because of the Christ that's in me. And do I still struggle some days? Yes. Do I have flare-ups? Yes. But none of that takes away from the fact that God loves me. He sent his son to die on the cross for me. I'm saved, and it reminds me that regardless of wherever he's gonna see me, whether I'm smiling, crying, whether I'm a good day or a bad day, he is